about what I think about people with borderline personality disorder, and I am pretty sure that I'm repeating myself, that I've talked about this actually quite a few times in videos, but I tend to use a lot of sort of shorthand in describing what I'm thinking about them, and it lumps people all together, and I don't think that's fair or accurate. Um, so borderline people, um, their classic hallmark is basically an inability to sort of keep their emotions in check, and they're all over the place, and they're over the top, and everything is extreme, and everything is super important at that exact moment. The entire world revolves around whatever their issue is, positive or negative. However, there is effective therapy for it, and and it's a hell of a thing to take on, because the point of DBT is the duo-ness of it, is that you are supposed to acknowledge and take responsibility for your sort of negative behaviors, and then work to um, uh, basically take control over them instead of letting them have control over you. And that takes some major giant balls. I have mad respect for people with borderline personality disorder who actually go through therapy. And I mean, for real, the people are successfully, um, who have successfully gone through therapy and have borderline, I think, are some of the nicest and most stable people in the entire world, because they are completely aware of everything that they do and the effect they have on people, and they take that into account. Um, I think that's awesome. Um, However, the vast majority of people with borderline either are not diagnosed, or worse, get their diagnosis and reject it and insist it's something else. Point blank refuse to do the work. Now, I get it. It's hard. It's hard as hell. DBT unto itself is a long process. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's confrontational. Um, it's hard. It's hard. Um, and most people with DBT are sort of getting by. Their life isn't great, but they're not, you know, they haven't completely destroyed their life. They're on the verge of it. They're all constantly on the edge of destroying their life, but they haven't done it yet. Most of them. Every once in a while you get somebody who goes so far that they are jailed. But usually they're just, crisis people constantly. Everything is exploding around them all the time. And but the charming sort of part of them, when their emotions are sort of latching on to somebody, then it seems like the bond is deep. So they get by. They don't want to do the work. They want to pretend they're something else. They want to be the victim, which they are the victim. I mean, it is a personality disorder. Therefore, they had to have something that triggered and caused it. So I have compassion and sympathy for them. However, those people are a really bad combination for somebody with a avoidant personality disorder. And it seems like the number one diagnosis they glom onto, because because it appears it's the nice personality disorder, which is crap. I mean, you've heard me. We're not all, peaches and rainbows. and we use anger as a tool to get stuff done, and that, you know, can look to a borderline like, yeah, that sounds like what I do. I mean, the thing is that they have no control over it, and avoidant people usually do have control over their anger, and they can tamp it down, and they can use and direct it. So that's different from borderline. But yeah. So I've heard the theory that everybody with a personality disorder is the same, and we should all stick together, and blah blah blah, and that always comes from borderlines. Always. Yeah. I bet if you put a borderline in with a narcissist, I think that would be a major problem for them. So they say that to their advantage. I mean, again, I can get and understand that there was something terrible that they went through to become borderline. However, being compassionate does not mean that you have to accept the treatment from them. That is really, really hard for borderline to get. They think that, everybody needs to help them, basically, and they need to be the center. And if they're not the center, they're gonna make themselves the center. And they will concoct some crazy scheme that will force you to spend, if you were going to spend your time thinking about this, well, I'm going to come up with this crazy thing happening and make me the center of your life, so you have to think about me all the time. And if I have to destroy you, or I have to destroy our relationship, or I have to destroy your happiness, hey, you're thinking about me. Doesn't matter. Cool. That is what an untreated borderline will do. That is among the reasons so toxic to person with avoidant personality disorder. Plus, of course, they set the trap of, I am going to make you the center of my life. And an avoidant person needs to know the person likes them. Well, a borderline person goes about 100 times further along than your average folk. Which, I mean, so the thing about that is, okay, so if somebody really likes me, is it real or is it borderline? And you sort of mistrust everybody. And then you do the tests. Avoidant tests are classic to check to see exactly how far somebody will go and what they will take. And then you're testing everybody. Well, you know what? You test an average normal person, and they're going to be like, hell no. I mean, it's like the old, witch trials. They were like, okay, well, we're going to try and drown this person. If they drown, they're not a witch. If they don't drown, they are a witch, and we're going to stone them. It's like, that's the effect that having a borderline in your life does to a person with avoidant personality disorder. Seriously. And again, okay, I'm doing it again. I'm saying all borderlines. This is not true. Because once they've been through treatment, they are awesome people. They're better. It's awful that I'm putting it in a term like that, but seriously, better than a normal person, because they are aware of everything and they can control it to a degree. And they can articulate it. That's even better. They can say, okay, I'm feeling this because of this. And because of this, I'm going to, do whatever I need to do to get a hold on it. And yeah, they're unbelievably accountable and straightforward and honest. And they have the balls. I'm sorry I keep using that term, but seriously, it's like they have the belief and self-knowledge to really, truly, and because they need to continue to have a successful life, they have to be straight up with people, so they are. And it's awesome. And it's great. And it's way better than the general public. But most are not like that. And especially if you've got a new diagnosis. You can I personally have never met a person with avoidant personality disorder who doesn't have an absolute horror story of talking to somebody with borderline personality disorder when they first got started. And you really do. You have to protect yourself. And there's one who was like, yes, I know I have borderline, but you know what? I'm doing a service to all the avoidants by being their friend and then screwing them over. And setting up this bizarre sort of us versus them thing that is like a divide and conquer, because that works, you know. They'll make sure that the people are thinking of them because they're concocting these schemes all the time, and it is really hard to catch them. I mean, I know people who are probably the foremost experts on, like, real experts, like living experts, because that's the other thing is, you get somebody like Cantor, who claims to be an expert, has no clue. I mean, you want to really know what avoidant personality disorder is like, then you talk to somebody who has it, which is among the reasons I make these videos. Even though they are definitely sometimes controversial and people don't like how I'm coming up with topics, and people don't like what I'm saying, and, you know, so I put a lot of them up and take a lot of them down. Anyway, and I said this to somebody else recently, which is trust your gut. And that is so hard for somebody with avoidant personality disorder to do, because you grow up in a situation where your parents are supposed to be the ones who protect you, and they don't. And even if they're not the ones that are being abusive to you, if you're being bullied, the parents are not intervening and stopping the bullying. And I'm not saying, oh, parents they suck, etc. Except they kind of do, you know? I mean, no, obviously every parent can't stop bullying, but they can mitigate it if they are aware of it and have a clue about their kid and care. And if something is really going south and you see somebody really starting to turn, you can step in and make things better for that child. So trust your gut. When you see something that seems like, what? I mean, seriously, the first borderline that I really caught on my own, it was a person who was teacher, and I was like, okay, oh, that's great. You're an avoidant teacher, because, you know, you can sort of read your students' minds, and figure out what's going on, and if they understand what's going on. I have taught, and I'm telling you, yes, it's like magic potion, that it makes you about twice as good a teacher as you actually are, is to be able to read kids' faces, pick up their micro expressions, know when they're catching on, or know when they need more help. And this person was like, oh, I can't do that. I've never done that. I've never been able to understand what my kids were thinking, or what they were, you know, what I could never figure it out. I'm like, you never even tried to figure out what, you know, what? I mean, it was like, what? Wait, what? I mean, because being able, I'm saying like everybody can do it. The coping skill, I don't know what you call it. I mean, it's a hallmark of avoidant personality disorder that you think you can figure out what people are thinking, and you focus so much of your life on trying to figure out, does this person like me? Does this person not? Blah blah blah. Am I, you know, are they safe? So for somebody to say that they were incapable of doing it, I'm like, okay, you're avoidant, and you say you've got a diagnosis, but my gut says no, and of course it turned out I was right. I mean, it took years to get a confession from that person, but yeah. So you got to take care of yourself, because undiagnosed and especially repressed borderlines are absolutely dangerous for avoidant personality disorder, but they're not all bad. and some of them are really, truly awesome people.